right, so good morning again. My name's Barrett Johannesson, and I'm a solutions engineer here at iFormBuilder. Today I have Ben Ray with me, and he'll be going through uh, how iFormBuilder and engineering work so well together. Like I said earlier, we're really excited. If at any point where you need to slow down or if you have any questions, feel free to place those in the go-to meeting, and I'll be fielding those questions for Ben. And if it's a question that I can't answer, then I'll interrupt Ben and he'll answer that for you. So thank you again for attending. And Ben, it's your show now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ben Ray. I'm a solutions engineer at iFormBuilder. I've been with the company about 3 years now, and I've been doing a lot on the implementation side. So I've worked on getting projects off the ground for folks, integrating with GIS backends, and writing web services for folks to get them off to a jump start. So what I wanted to start out by just saying is that really this webinar is for engineering folks and really anyone who's new to the platform, who is a current customer, who may be in the trial mode, or is not a customer currently. So we're going to be going over everything from really basic form building to learning about our hardware features, the API and security, and really what it takes to build an end-to-end mobile solution. Before I start, I just want to go over some of the current customers that we have. So we have like the ACOMs, the URFs, the Jacobs of the world. I mean, they're operating all around the world, and these are really mission-critical operations that they're doing. And we're gaining, I mean, many customers by the minute just based upon all these different scenarios that they're going over. So really, before I begin, I just want to go into really what is iFormBuilder. So iFormBuilder really is an enterprise data collection tool. We let you build your own forms, capture your own data, and really redefine how field teams work. Now you may ask, kind of, what does that mean? So it really starts with form building. That is the center of everything. Getting your forms off the ground, getting the devices in the user's hands, and getting them begin capturing data and submitting it all to the iFormBuilder server. Now that is the front-end data collection piece, but where a lot of the magic happens is on the back end, and I'll go over some more of the API details and how to integrate data into the system. But from iFormBuilder, we can push data to really any back-end system. We have a great integration with Esri's ArcGIS. We have Post and our data feeds and our API that it really makes the platform dance. So what I want to go into first is the form building and JavaScript side of things. And the next four things that I go over are really going to be why engineers and field teams alike choose iFormBuilder. So we really let you build your own customized forms, and that is through the flexible form building. So what that means is that you can build your own data structure in our GUI that I will show in a few minutes here if you have not seen it. But you build your own data structure that's with the one-to-ones, the one-to-many relationships. You can include lookup tables in it, so if you want to preload a whole database of inventory items, or say different projects that you're having, you can enter that identifier on the form and it will pull up all relevant information. And we have folks, I mean, loading tens of thousands of lookup records onto the device itself, and they're using that out in the field for reference. And again, too, it's building those custom forms and those workflows, I mean, using our assign to widget, so really the passing of the baton mentality, where I'm filling out the first half of this inspection, but then it needs to be approved by my supervisor. It needs to go through 3 other approval processes before it can be complete. You can build those customized workflows in right on the form building side, even without it hitting the servers or anything like that. And then again, the freedom of JavaScript, right? So JavaScript really is very powerful when you know how to use it, and it's a matter of building customized functions, right? We can populate the current date and time in the form. We can write a JavaScript function that queries a database and pulls in relevant information, assuming you're connected, of course. And really, the entire JavaScript library is accessible, and we have folks doing all sorts of very custom calculations, skip logic, and building those workflows all from the JavaScript side of things. So I just want to go on my device here and just show you one example of a form that someone has built that actually does some pretty cool, not calculations, but a pretty cool functionality they wrote with a page level function. So what this does here is, if I select this one, get address of a drop point, I have my map here, and I can actually choose a new location here that I want to capture this record. So I'm going to go over to somewhere here in New York. We'll choose, and what I'm going to do is just select this, right? So what this did is it actually populated the longitude and latitude. It called Google's API, pulled in the street number, the street name, the city name, and the state name that this is located in. right? So again, this is assuming you're all connected, but this is just a simple page level function that someone wrote that they're going around everywhere, dropping pins in locations, it's pulling in the closest street address to them. So pretty powerful stuff. And as well here, this is again with the location widget. This is showing my current longitude and latitude, altitude, speed, compass direction, all those details. If I hit done, it's actually going to pull in where I currently am, what is the closest address to my location, which this here is the address of our office here. So just a pretty cool functionality there, showing that that's just one function someone has written, and really we're relying on everyone else, all of our customers, to write these amazing functions and show us the very cool workflows that they're building in. So next, I just wanted to go and talk about some of our API and the data structure, and this is really where iFormBuilder, since we are used as the front end, it makes everything dance and mesh together very well, because we have a very advanced API that allows you to capture data and push it into the iFormBuilder cloud, and then push all the data out of the cloud into your backend GIS system, into, I mean, one of many different systems, right? So you're pushing it to a web service, and then from that web service may be inserting into tables, doing all sorts of logic, and making the platform dance. There's also a way to manipulate data inside of the platform, right? So if you want to have your database in sync with iFormBuilder, that is 100% doable through our API, because you can have, as data is updated in your backend system, it can be updated in iFormBuilder as well, and you can build those entire workflows. And we even have folks who are building an entire fleet management system out of the API, right? So they're pinging these devices every few minutes, grabbing their current location and then showing that on a map, and that's all done through our API and a backend product that they've developed. So I just wanted to go over some of the APIs that we do have available. So we are working on a new version of the API, but for right now we have the record API, which allows you to create new records in the database, to pull old records from the database, edit existing records, assign those records out to users. We also do have an option list API. So when maybe a drop-down list or something is updated in your SQL backend, you can have it automatically call iFormBuilder and add a new option to that option list. We also do have an element API available. So this allows you to actually build forms without going through the form builder. So a lot of times you may have a SQL table or a table in your GIS backend that you want to be always in sync with iFormBuilder. Maybe that's changing very frequently, and you would actually want to write a script that from the GIS backend to the SQL backend that would actually add a new field in iFormBuilder at that same time, right? So your field staff, when next time they sync, they'll get that new up-to-date table, and they can just continue collecting data. We also do have a user API. This is pretty good for keeping your users on your backend in sync with the users on the front end iFormBuilder side. We also do have SSO available if that is of interest. And then also just the page API. I mean, learning how to build forms directly through the API and bypassing that entirely.
So there's two things people have questions on. One of them is what SSO is, and the other is about API. Who has access to API and who would use the API?
Mm-hmm. Right, so SSO is really a single sign-on application that we have available. So it is, again, using Active Directory. So it keeps your users in sync that you may have in Active Directory with the users in sync in iFormBuilder. And they don't have to remember 2 passwords and 2 logins and all that kind of stuff. So it really makes that very much more fluent. And then I'm sorry, Bear, could you repeat the second question?
API, who has access to it, and who would use that as far as their team goes?
Right, so API access is available at the server admin level. So the server admin has access to the API, and they can designate the API keys and alike to specific developers on their team or anyone who wants to work with the API. Again, since you do have that server admin capability, you're going to be able to make any updates you really want to the platform. So you may only want to give them this, they can only work in this profile and those sorts of things. But yeah, that is a server admin, right? And yeah, like I said, keep the questions coming, so it's all good. So again, I just also wanted to go into the data structures. I mean, after API, API is after the data structures are built and are in the system already. So what we allow you to do is build your own data structures, and that all happens with the form builder, right? So you're going to build a form that is related to a single table, so it may go 3 to 4 levels deep, and I'll show an example of that form here in a few minutes. But we also let you connect data from other systems again and manipulate your data structure. And really, it's all an object-oriented structure too. So it's not like a traditional database. I mean, we're up with the modern times and having an object-oriented structure, and every new subform in that is a new part in the object tree, and I may be getting a little too deep there, but I think you'll get the point when I go over some of the form side of things. So moving on, next is our military level security. So at iFormBuilder, I mean, security is really huge to us, and we really want to be sure we're on top of every sort of security measure that we need to take. So everything from the mobile device to the backend cloud storage and our API, because I mean, your data is really mission critical, and if anything happens to that, then there's a big problem. So just a few things that we have on the security side, and we can certainly go into this later if you have more questions. But the first is really a local encrypted device database. So the iForm as well as the iFormES application have the locally encrypted device database, and it's pretty important because you have the encryption all on the device. And then the next side of things is you have the element level encryption, which is it is encrypted on the device, but then down to the element level, right? So you have an entire device encryption, but then each single field, right? So you may have a name field, an address field, a social security number field. All those fields can then be encrypted as well. So that's actually 2 levels of encryption just on the mobile app itself. And then on the iFormES, this next part here I'm highlighting is we have a challenge password. So every time you open up the app, it's going to ask you for your username and password to get into there. Again, just another level of security, and even if you combine that with the password on your device, I mean that's 4 layers deep of security that you have. We do not we have no keystroke logging, right? So as you're typing in the password, I mean there's no way that on the iFormES app the user could hack into that and see kind of what you're entering, as well as remote wipe. So from the licensing tab, you can actually go in, and if you see, I mean maybe someone gets fired or you leave, someone leaves, or the device is stolen, you may want to remote wipe out that device. So you can actually trigger that one, just similar to remote wiping either your laptop or your phone or anything like that. You can wipe out the device database on the iForm app. So all of this really amounts to end-to-end data encryption. So from when the data is on the device to when the data is in transit through SSL, and then when it's sitting on the server too. And all this, I mean, complies with HIPAA, FISMA, PCI, ISO 9000, high-tech, all of the acronyms that I have listed below. Oh, sorry, here, 1 minute. So something very large too that we have a lot of folks doing some pretty amazing things with is this enterprise hardware. So by default, I mean the devices themselves have some pretty awesome hardware, but a lot of times it doesn't work for what folks are trying to do, like the dual GPS or the SX Blue GPS. Now these give you sub-meter and sub-centimeter, I believe, on the SX Blue accuracy, and these are Bluetooth to the iOS and Android devices. Now what you do is you connect this to one of these devices to the iOS device, and it kind of overrides the onboard GPS, and it'll give you that very accurate information. And then the next thing that we have here is some of the scanning tools. So default and baked into the platform is the Manatee Works application. So what that is it's actually the barcode or barcode scanning directly built into the device. So you can actually scan using the camera. You can scan driver's licenses. You can scan any type of barcode, and it's pretty amazing because you're actually defining the actual symbology that you want to use for that. So if you want to capture QR codes, you actually enter that, and it'll scan it much faster than a red laser or any other application as well. Also, the other things they use at the Apple Store, the Linear Pro devices there on the top, they're like they can do mag stripes, they can also do scanning, and we have a ton of groups taking advantage of those for scanning inventory items very quickly, as well as the socket scanners on the top right. The socket scanners, again, it gives you a little more freedom, right? You can have your device in your pocket, and you can just be scanning away with the socket device, and it'll push all the data right into iFormBuilder. So that's a direct integration we have. A lot of different food service groups in the bottom. I know this may not relate to a lot of engineering firms, but we do have a temperature probe here. And these food service groups are using the temp probe, I mean sticking it in there and actually getting the interior temperature of the meat or anything like that and recording that. That is all fed right back into iFormBuilder. Now a really great example of the zebra printers that you see here at the bottom is St. John's Parish. They're one of our police departments, and they have a pretty awesome solution. So they're actually using the socket or the Linear Pro or the Manatee to scan the individual's driver's license when they pull you over. And then they're also scanning the VIN number on the car. It's pulling up all the details about that car. then they're actually entering they have all the entire LA code, so every single thing from a speeding ticket to a robbery to any type of crime that they may want to have, that's all loaded in the database, and they enter the ID for that. It pulls up all the relevant information about that. They say you were speeding, you were going 10 miles over the speed limit. Then you sign off on the device, and then they print out your ticket through the Zebra printer, and this is all done in an offline environment. All the data is captured back and is pushed back into their government system for all the tickets and everything. So it is a pretty amazing integration that they have. And then the next thing is Node as well. So Node is something new that we've been working with, and we have a pretty good relationship with them right now. So this little white device here, you actually buy the inside piece, and then there's a lot of different pieces you can plug and play onto here, right? So they have something that captures climate that I'll show later. They have this temperature one here, so this will capture surface temperature. So you can like put it on your arm and it'll show the temperature of your arm. All those sorts of things. I mean, they're adding more things by the day that you can add, and it's really a plug and play attachment. So it's pretty amazing functionality that they're using. So before I go into the demo, I just want to show on the Node side of things how this functionality will work. So let me just pull up my device here. So what I'm going to actually do is just turn on the webcam here, just so I can kind of show you how the node looks and kind of the functionality of it here. So all right, is that good? Everyone can see it. Okay. So here's the actual node itself, right? So it's a little mini, cylinder type object, and these things here are all detachable, right? So you can just unscrew it here. You unscrew all the different attachments and put on new ones. They can actually hold two attachments. So on the left or the right side we have the climate, and on the left side we have the temperature probe. So I'm going to try to see if I can organize it here and pull up both of these. So in this node feature form, we're going to kind of put ourselves in the scenario that we are actually out in the field, and we have to capture GPS location information of where we are at and what birds are spotted, and we want to grab the climate. So in this climate, this temperature, this light, this pressure, this humidity, what are we actually seeing with birds spotted, right? So I'm going to capture the GPS location. Again, enter there is 56 birds spotted today. And then when I choose take climate reading, it's actually going to say select a node device. Now you heard the node device power up, and it's lighting up like crazy now. And now it's actually capturing all the climate information for this, right? So we have the temperature here, we have the lumens, we have the barometric pressure, as well as the humidity here. So again, if I put my hand over it, you'll see that the lumens will go down. See 0.7 LX. So this is, pretty amazing, right? You can hold this out in the sunlight. They're walking around. They're capturing it at different places in time. Now I choose capture. That was one reading. Now then I'm going to actually hit send to iForm. And what this is going to do is call back to iForm. It's going to parse out the temperature, the light, the pressure, and the humidity. I can go through and implement this anywhere in my form. So the next thing here is we're going to put ourselves in the scenario of we're doing some sort of inspection, and we need to take a photograph of the heat vent as well as get the actual temperature of that vent, right? So I'm going to open up my drawing widget here, take a photo of the heat vent up here, and I'm going to use this as a background image, and then I'm also going to just draw on top. This is the heat vent we're talking about. I'm going to check right here. So now I'm actually going to take the node itself, call the Therma application that they have, and you'll see here's all the lasers. They're going crazy now. So I'm going to actually go up here and get the temperature coming out of that heat vent, capture that, and I can actually capture multiple temperatures, right? So if I want to get temperature in my arm, I can capture that, and then I hit send to iForm, and again, it's going to send all that data directly to iForm in the app, and it's ready for you to capture. So the node is some pretty cool stuff. It's going to be some pretty amazing integrations when it keeps coming along, and the more things they add. So are there any questions about that? All right.
Oh yes. Does the unit on the iPhone have the capabilities to scan a driver's license and populate the data, the GL number, the name, the address, and date of birth into a form?
Yes, certainly. So thanks for asking. I think I can get my, I do have my wallet here. Maybe I'll scan my driver's license and give this a quick try. So here's the Manatee form, and this is using the device camera, right? So we can actually scan any type of barcode one. I have a gas card here. I'll also scan first just to show you. So I hit tap to scan. It's going to pull up my camera here, and I'll scan my my gas card, and it shows the scan result into there. Now again, this is the driver's license one, and I think this form's configured correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit tap to scan, and then here's my driver's license. I'm going to put my over top of it here, and now it just parsed out all my information directly into here. So again, yes, it can happen. It can pull out all the information that the driver's license has as long as they have it. And since I have a Pennsylvania license, I have the actual the barcode on it, so it'll work. And then we also have the V card, so like the business card scenario where all of our business cards have QR codes on them, so you can scan that and parse out all that information in there. So you could actually make a little form for yourself to take on the go. So again, I'll submit that, and all that data will be fully synced up. So that's kind of the quick overview of the hardware and the four reasons really why these engineering groups are choosing iFormBuilder. So really what I wanted to go into next is just a demo of a few different forms and then pushing that into a GIS backend. So this is kind of what it's going to encompass. I mean, iFormBuilder will be used really as the mobile front end in this whole solution. iFormBuilder is the main component in this because it's driving everything. So I'll go back out of here and just go to the PowerPoint. It's my device here. So 1 minute. All right, so now that I'm logged in, I do have a few forms that I did want to go over and just kind of show how they are used. So I'll go to the data tab here, and we're going to actually see some of the forms that I'm going to access. So on my device here, I have a few pretty interesting forms. The first one is the engineering manhole inspection. So this is one of the big ones that we really like to show. It shows kind of a lot of different functionality, a few levels deep of subform. So really put yourself in the scenario that you're ready to go out on the field and actually you're on a street in let's say Virginia, for example, and you need to inspect every single manhole within Virginia on that street. So right now I'm going to say where am I at? I'm on Dulles Technology. And we also are going to capture the GPS location of that. And for this scenario, we don't need very accurate GPS because we're on a street. We just need to know that we were on this street and kind of the start and the end of where we conducted this inspection. The name of the inspector, my name's Ben. And then we also have the manholes. This is a multi-paging subform. Right, so I'm going to go back to that again. This is the first section of the inspection. When we walk up to our first manhole, we're going to tap on this. Now this is the first manhole that we're inspecting. We actually can scan the manhole code. So if there is a code on it, if not, we can just manually key it in. This one does have a barcode, so I can scan that with my device, or we could use the node or the socket or any of those other functionalities. Looks like it's not liking that barcode, so we would actually just manually enter that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this manhole description, what type of manhole is this? This is a manhole 1, for example. We'll just make up some dummy data for that. And what type of manhole? So this is going to be a type 4. You may have different types of manholes in there. And then within this manhole, are there any infractions that you see? Is something cracked on it? Does it need to be replaced? Anything like that. So I'm going to tap on this here. And you see we just went 3 layers down, right? So we started at the parent form, we're on the street. We went to this manhole, and now inside of this manhole, there's many infractions. So the type of infraction here is an infraction 2. The severity of this infraction is going to be low, medium, or high. So you see if it's medium or high, it's automatically going to alert someone there. That's a required field. You have to enter an email address. I have it defaulted to my address. Then we're going to enter some comments about this infraction. This was, it's broken. And I want to take a photo of this here. So again, I'm going to take a picture of my camera, take a picture of the bike we have here in the corner, and then we're going to enter maybe an audio note if you want to say something quick about this. So I could hit record here and test. Done on that. And then I actually want to hit done here. Right, so that's 1 infraction within this manhole. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing again. There's 2 infractions, right? It's broken and it also needs to be replaced. So type of infraction is going to be an other infraction, and I'm going to call it needs replaced. So you'll see I actually have some logic here. If it says other infraction, it's going to hide and show this other field. Oh, sorry about that. My device must have shut off the reflector. I'll go back to that here quickly. Thanks for that, Barrett. I guess you missed everything, so I'll kind of go back to the start of this record here. So I'm not sure where my device did not show, but essentially we're putting ourselves in the scenario that we're on a street and we're inspecting manholes within that street. What I've already done so far is captured the GPS location, entered my name, as well as entered a single manhole and the one infraction within that manhole. Right, so this is the second layer down. We're at the manhole, but within this manhole there is infractions. So I'm going to tap here to start a new infraction, choose the type of this infraction. Again, it's an other infraction, so you're going to see a new field is going to appear. Now in this other infraction, I'm going to call this is needs replaced. Now the severity of this infraction, is it low, medium, or high? And again, I don't think you saw this on my device last time. So if it's a high or medium infraction, a field is appearing and it's automatically going to alert me. So again, they're just kind of building in this workflow. If something is wrong or needs to be addressed about this, it automatically will email out to myself. Again, I can do some infraction comments here, type whatever I want in. Broken, needs replaced. And then again, I can take a photo of this infraction here. So I'm going to take a picture of with the camera. I'm going to take a photograph of outside. And then we can also take an audio note as well. If I hit play here, I can hit record and I can enter whatever information I want in here. And then I'm going to hit done. Now that is one specific infraction, right? So now we have, when I hit done here, it said I needed a required field, so I need to fill in an email address in here to send it to. So again, that's with the required fields, we can actually make checks in the form to make sure that they fill out everything, that who it's supposed to be emailed to is addressed, all those details. So that is two infractions about that specific manhole. Now there's nothing else that I need to document about this manhole, so I'm just going to capture its location here quickly. Again, hit done. Now that was that one manhole, and now we're on to the next manhole on the next street. So I'm going to open up this one here again and go through this process again. Again, I could scan the manhole or manually enter the code for it. And then the manhole description, the type of the manhole, we'll say it's a type 4. And again, any infractions associated with this manhole. So again, we would do this the entire way down the street. And we're going to say this is low. We're going to take a picture of my phone here, sit on the desk. And I'm going to hit done. And then again, so what we want to look at going into next is done here, and we're going to look at going into the next manhole on the street. So you will go down your entire street, every single manhole on this, and this is all part of one report. So I'm actually going to put in just my sign off on this. Select done, and what it's doing now is it's syncing this data up to iFormBuilder.com, and I do have some integration set up here on the back end to kind of show you that functionality as well. So once it uploads the data, I mean, I should get actually 2 emails of this. One is always sent to me. The other one is sent to me when there is an infraction. So it looks like it uploaded there, everything successfully. So I should get this email here fairly shortly. Now what I'm going to do in the data tab, just to make sure all this data came in and it's all accessible, is see here we have 77 records. Now all this is actually linked up to push directly into iFormBuilder as well as ArcGIS, and I could link it up to SQL Server or any other backends that I would like to as well. But for the meantime, I'm just going to show you that this record came in and we have a very comprehensive report of my last inspection, right? So here we have, this one took place on Dulles Technology. Here's all the details about it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this ID field, and this is going to pull up the inspection as well as all the details about it here, right? So we have everything that I just captured here in a very concise report format that will be emailed to me, and I don't have my mail client turned on, so I'm not going to get it right now. as well as just pushed right up into the ArcGIS side of things that I'll show here in a minute. But this here can be fully branded, and as Chris went over in the previous webinar, if anyone was on it, he went over how to kind of brand the email reports and the database as a whole. Within the platform, we can actually view on a map where this record was taken at too. So I just selected the map view here. Again, we can see the map here. And really, I mean, the value of this is seeing, hey, I want to see where this guy went on this day and what manholes he inspected, right? So I was on this street here, and this is, I must have went through and inspected all of these specific ones. And this is really for simple data mapping. And what I wanted to show here is the integration with the ArcGIS side of things.
Then one question is, what are the requirements for the data to sync to ArcGIS, and what is required on the ArcGIS side?
Well, so the requirements for the data to sync to ArcGIS, I mean, there's not really any requirements on your side as long as the data is in the system, it can go to ArcGIS. So there are some, I mean, there is some requirements if you want to use our built-in tools. If you want to write your own web service that pumps data into ArcGIS Server or ArcGIS Online or any of those tools, I mean, you can go ahead and do that, and that's not a problem there. So this is our API connector to ArcGIS Online. So what we can do here is I have a bunch of different forms that are already linked up to ArcGIS Online. So every data record that comes in for this form, for this form, for this form will all be pushed to ArcGIS Online. So I'll show you the one that I just filled out here. So MP Engineering Manhole Inspection. Now every record that's synced will flow into there, and I have this linked up directly to ArcGIS Online. So I'm going to go over to my ArcGIS Online account, and I'll go to the My Content tab, and you'll see I have a ton of different feature services in here that are holding this data. Now again, this one was built December 10th. I built this morning. Now when I tap and open this one, it's going to bring up the map view here in just a minute. So add layer to new map. And once I do that, it's actually going to bring up all the data directly in ArcGIS Online. So here's all the records that have been collected. Looks like we captured some down here in Alabama and St. Louis. Here's a bunch in Washington, D.C. One of these is probably the ones that we just collected here. We can tap on the more info here to see the link to the signature. We can do any type of data analysis we want here. We can actually plot out all the different points of every single manhole that was inspected on that street, and I mean really everything that ArcGIS offers. Now again, ArcGIS isn't the only data or mapping platform we can push data into. We just have the tightest integration with them. I mean, a lot of folks are using Mapbox or Google Maps or those types of tools to then push data into. But this is kind of one of the destinations of where the data may land. Now the next thing I wanted to go into is really where else we can push data to and what other tools we have available for that. So what I want to go into here is under the Form Assignment tab. And I'm just going to choose the one that we have here and just kind of show how you would potentially set this up. So here's the form, and I hit Assign. Now inside of here we have a post mechanism. Now this mechanism can be posted to one of many different endpoints. Right here we have who can access this form, right? So if you want to have them see it on their device to capture data or just view it on the back end. We also have who this is going to be emailed to, right? So it's going to be emailed to Ryan as well as myself directly when this record is submitted. Now in addition to those two things, we can actually have different endpoints where data lands in. So we're actually going to choose a new endpoint here. We're going to call this, I'll just show Google Docs for now. And what we're going to do is every record that hits iFormBuilder is going to be pushed to a Google spreadsheet in this scenario. Now I'm not going to go fully into this because I would have to write the web service in Google to do that, but I'll show you kind of the scenario that happens here. So you're going to enter your endpoint URL, and this can be provided by Google or where you're hosting your web service online. So I'm going to do google.com/ben/web-service. Now this would be my URL. This would not be, I mean, this URL will not work just because this is not where my web service is hosted. But again, this is kind of the scenario for that. You can choose what we're going to post to it. So whether it be JSON or XML format. You can choose the content type as well. So native or the key value pair. If I'm using JSON, I usually stick with native. And what happens here is when data is submitted, it's automatically going to be sent to this web service here. Now this web service in Google is going to insert data into the Google spreadsheet, and then I can use Google as my reporting engine like a lot of folks do. We also do have guaranteed delivery for this. So maybe, let's say Google's down one day, or your ArcGIS server's down one day, or something like that. It will actually try to post in 2 minutes later, and I think there's a few different increments, five or six different times it'll try to post throughout the next 2 days. And once it actually hits that server and gets an okay response, it'll stop posting. So again, this is something new we added in one of the latest releases, and it's been pretty beneficial for a lot of folks in making sure that their data does get to them. I mean, because the internet is great when it works, but when it is down for those 5 or 10 minutes, I mean, that's mission critical data that needs to get there, and it really solves that scenario.
So Ben, just going back to a question that just came in was, can they collect within the ArcGIS collector app and link it to iFormBuilder from there?
Yes, that's correct. So I do not have a demo set up right now. I may be able to get one set up here pretty quickly. But yes, that's something we have implemented. It's with a new URL scheme on our iOS application. So you can take data collected in Collector, tap on a URL, and then edit that specific feature on the iForm app. So I'm going to see here if I may have it set up on one of my devices here. That would be pretty perfect if I could show it here in the timeline that I have. Let me just try and log in on my phone here and see if I can show that. So it's not limited to just the Collector app. I mean, you can use any Safari browser for this as well. You don't need to have it work with Collector, but the Safari browser and looking at the map itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up my iPhone. I think I have this one set up here. Let's go to Collector. So within Collector, I can define a specific map, and I have to see. Yeah, it looks like I'm not going to be able to get it set up today. I can check on my iPad here and see if I have it. But yeah, I guess the concept is I can share a video with you maybe after the call and with everyone on how that functionality works. I do not have it set up right now, so maybe we can go into that here if we do have some time towards the end. But yes, the concept is there, and it does work, and a lot of folks have been using it just because they really do want to define their own layers on their specific Collector base map, and then from there call iForm to do the data capture, right? Because Collector's data capture interface is really for simple functionality, but iForm really provides you with that advanced functionality. Actually, I think I might have it set up on this device here. Let me see. So I do have some different maps here, and I'm going to check if this works. I haven't tested it yet today. So, but this one here is kind of put yourself in a scenario of you're doing fire hydrant inspections. Now this is a list of every single fire hydrant, a public map I pulled from ArcGIS. So if I go over here to Los Angeles, I'll go into the ones here in Long Beach. So I can tap on any of these specific points here, and I can see all the details about this. Now this is a custom pop-up that I have configured to open up iForm. Now when I tap on this URL here, it's actually going to call iForm and create a brand new record and pass the data across. Right? So we pass the hydrant ID, the hydrant type, and again I'll cancel this record and go back to a new one here and just show you that again. It might have went a little quick. So we're in Collector here. We're in any of the ArcGIS mapping apps, and we've configured a custom pop-up that points to iForm. Right? So this is the long URL, and there's some documentation on this, but if I actually hit open, it's calling the iForm app, creating a new record, and it's passing those IDs across, like 273, the hydrant ID, the hydrant type, and then I can begin conducting my inspection on here, right? So name of the inspector, and this is very similar to the engineering form that I filled out recently. So here's a photo of that specific hydrant. And then if there were any infractions, right? So again, I'm showing some logic. I mean, some of these hydrants may be good, so there's no need to capture any infractions, but if I hit infractions, this subform pops up. It's a multi-paging subform. I can say the type of infraction is, we're going to say it's jammed, photo of the infraction here, and again, I think there is a fire hydrant outside. Maybe I can zoom in on. There's the fire hydrant. Use that photograph. I'll use it as a background image It looks like it didn't like that there.
Well, that's loading, Ben. Another question came in was, is iOS the only platform that this works on?
Yes, right now iOS is the only platform that the collector integration works on. I mean, we are still developing our URL schemes and our front-end APIs for the Android app itself, but right now it is iOS centric. So that's something that will be coming, but at this point we don't have that set up right now. So again, once I can go back into this one. Here's the fire hydrant one. This is the one I just used here. So sorry, just 1 minute. Here's the fire hydrant inspection one, and this is the one I was just working on, I believe. So I'm not going to go and enter any infractions there. It didn't look like it liked that one, but if it passes or fails the inspection, I enter that. Those are required fields. I sign off on this inspection here, and then when I sync this, what it's going to do is it's going to push up to ArcGIS Online. I have this set up, and it's actually going to update that feature service with the new details I have sent across. So then when I go back into the collector app, then I'll be able to actually see that it has been updated. There's the photograph of the hydrant, all those details in there. So again, it's really used as the front end side, and then when you want to analyze your data, it's all pushed back into ArcGIS, so you're available to work with it there. Now there was one other last form I wanted to show here quickly, and this was just a contractor safety observation form. Now this solution here was developed a while back for a few different customers, and really what they do is they enter who the observer is for this specific project. So there's a lot of projects that are going on all the time, and you may want to send a form like this out to really every one of your project managers, who will then be filling this out and kind of seeing his observations or her observations on the project, right? So the observer will be Ben Ray. The spec project name, this will be project 123, and then we can actually look up the work site location. I don't have that configured at this time, but we can certainly do that. And then inside of the contractor safety, here's the main inspection report that they do, right? So they have a timestamp here of when they did this, the contact or contractor trade, was it a prime or sub, the activity that was performed, we'll say checked site, and then if there were issues or if there were no issues, right? So if there were issues with this SSSP adherence, then you have to say, was it resolved? Is it a repeat issue? And the description of these issues. And this is actually happening for every single one of these questions here that you fill out. So as you go through, there's no issues for many of these, but there may be an issue for injuries or incidents. We'll say someone was injured on the site. It was applied for, and was a repeat issue? No. Injury on site. Again, all this data is then pushed up into their back-end analysis side of things, and they're seeing, looking on a map here, and they're analyzing that data, saying, hey, who was injured at this site, and was under this project manager, were there more injuries, those sorts of things, and that's really where value is being sought on that scenario. So again, they can go and enter any comments they want. They have their audio notes here, and again, any contractor images, right? So they may want to take an image of this injury or image of the site, and they can do one-to-many of this here. So I choose the image here, I'll take a photo, again, of outside, use that photograph, and then the image description, right, this will just be outside. I will choose done, and then again I can go back into the contractor images again, and this will be the next one that I'm going to do. So I can take one-to-many photos, and we have folks taking hundreds of photos of the site, and all this will then get truncated inside of that report, as well as pushed to ArcGIS, as well as pushed to a back-end system. So this really here is showing the entire full front-end solution, and each one of these forms is really a mini solution in itself, and all these are mission-critical applications that folks are using on a daily basis. So again, I'll sign off on this, select done, and all this will go up to the ArcGIS side. So really, I mean, from a solution side, that's really what I wanted to accomplish here, and kind of go over the functionalities of the application itself, and really what all is possible. So I'm just going to go back to the slide here. And really, I mean, in closing, what I'd like to go over here is just a few additional resources. I mean, getting started with iFormBuilder, JavaScript and Logic, enterprise hardware and military level security, and the ArcGIS Online connector. And we will share a few additional links that may not have been included on this. But what I'd like to challenge everyone to do is is if you don't have an iFormBuilder trial or an iFormBuilder account, certainly get that and get started and really see, I mean, what forms do you want to first knock out? It really starts, I mean, getting a project off the ground starts with one single form, getting that built, getting that in pilot phase, and then really scaling across the enterprise to all the mission critical applications. And really, I mean, myself, Barrett, and our entire team can really make your project very, very successful. We do have Kickstarts available with a dedicated database, anything like that, a lot of different training, implementation support available. We can make these projects dance, I mean, within a matter of hours, and that's really where the flexibility of the platform goes. So I guess, Barrett, I mean, were there any other questions that we came across?
There are two more questions that I'm just going to be answering here in the chat, but just take over speaking rights. And if you could go to the next slide. For those of you who are new to attending our free training webinars, we do have recordings of our past sessions, as well as we have recorded this session. Those can all be accessible from this link, and that's located in our iFormBuilder Academy. The other section or links that we have here are support options. We offer implementation support. Implementation support can be used for form building. It can be used for training on the platform, but also it can be used as almost like a little consulting on how to implement your workflow. We offer training courses, and we have our Kickstart training program. Our Kickstart training program is 4 hours that are devoted to individuals who have a dedicated database, and we just go through the platform as a whole. If you need to contact us, I will put both of our email addresses in the chat of GoToMeeting, so feel free to email us at any time. And lastly, we do have a session in January that we're really excited about, and we'd love for you to attend. I'll be putting that link in our email as well with the recording, but that session's about the product as a whole and what you can anticipate coming in the 2015 releases. So I do know we have some questions, and I'll be answering those. Ben and I will stay here in the GoToWebinar for another 10 minutes just to answer any lasting questions. But thank you all for attending, and yeah, thank you.